Next, we have the fifth member appointment. Tony is our fifth member and has expressed his interest in coming back on the board. If there's no question about that, I will accept a motion to reappoint.
I'd make a motion to reappoint Tony to a new 3-year term.
Okay. Is it seconded? Is it seconded? Okay. I'm going to turn the chair over to Haley for the purposes of seconding the motion at this time. So the chair's been turned to Haley. I'm going to second the motion. Mr. Chairman, if I can discuss it, if it's been seconded.
So it's been seconded. Is there discussion?
Okay. Yes, there is discussion. I think Tony brings to the table everything that we should want in a retirement board member. He's served on the Boston Stock Exchange as counsel. He's served for Codman Health, so he brings both health care experience and stock experience, stock exchange experience, and has proven himself as a member and a long-term community member. I see no reason for us not to second his motion unless there's some sort of other motivation that is there, and I think if there is, we should put it on the table and discuss it. So for that purpose, I suggest that we confirm Tony's appointment.
Want me to give my view?
Sure.
The state statutes, they've set up how we construct a retirement board in a way that hopefully all parties are represented. You have 2 people that are put on the board that are voted by the employees' retirees. And essentially you have 2 people that are on the board that essentially comes from the town. I've been appointed by the Board of Selectmen and then the ex officio member of the town council. So this 5th member role is critically important. This person has to be unbiased, independent, and should act as a facilitator or a mediator in trying to bring these 2 groups together. This person should act as a catalyst in offering options and solutions and bringing together different views of the board and bring his or her own solutions to the board to address its financial problems. Over the last 3 years, I've presented numerous recommendations on addressing our serious financial condition the pension plan is in. In all cases, Tony has voted, along with the chairman, against everything that I proposed, never once explaining his rationale for taking this position or presenting a counter as to why my proposals lack merit. During these 3 years, Tony has never presented his own solutions to any problems. I feel that Tony's actions runs counter to how a 5th member should behave and operate on a retirement board. I feel it's important that we have a 5th member that brings qualifications and expertise to the board that may be lacking by other board members. Tony is an attorney, but we already have an attorney here at just about every meeting. We need someone with financial, actuarial, investment management, or risk management experience, not an attorney as our 5th member. We need someone who's new, who can bring new ideas to the board to help solve our serious financial problems, and that's why I'm not supporting Tony for reappointment.
Would you like to turn the chair back over to me?
Yeah, can I make a comment too?
That's what I was going to do.
Okay, turn this back over to you.
Okay, Haley.
So I've watched or attended all the meetings in the past 2.5 years, and a lot of what Tom has just said, I agree with. So that's why I am not supporting.
Well, if I can comment on those 2 things, Tony is an attorney, but that isn't all he brings to the board. He brings other experience to the board. And the concept that because a particular person votes a particular way is reason to eliminate him from the board flies in contrast to the very thing you're saying. You're saying that if he voted with Tom, he'd be okay.
That's not what I'm saying.
That is what you're saying. with all due respect, the issue is that Tony hasn't facilitated things. Quite frankly, there's been differences of opinion on this board, and Tony's been the facilitator. And if you've watched the meetings, you've seen that he has been the neutral. The issue then would go to how people vote, and I think it's inappropriate to base your decisions based on how people vote. If you've watched the meetings, you've also seen he's brought an element of calmness and reason to discussions, even when I've disagreed with him. But to suggest that because a person's particular point of view may be different and alternatives haven't been presented, I think is questionable on its face, because the alternative is that you don't agree with the point of view of the other party in the room. And we hire professionals. If his decision is to go on the advice of those professionals, or the direction of those professionals, or the information that they provide him leads him in a particular direction to vote a certain way, I think it's inappropriate to take somebody off a board for virtually no reason other than, I'm going to suggest, specious arguments. And that's my opinion. It's not a, everybody's got a difference.
I'm not saying that I'm voting no because he votes a certain way. I'm not saying that. Tom made a lot of other points in his argument.
I realize what the points that were made, but I challenge those points on the basis of the history that we've had here and the work that has been done.
During Tony's 9 years as a board member, the unfunded liability has more than doubled. Can you name one recommendation, solution, or option that Tony has made to help alleviate our financial problems in the last 2 years?
Sure. Yeah, he sided with you on the hiring of Daha.
Not initially. Only after I brought up the fact that we're maybe potentially in breach of our fiduciary duties, which I would have thought that he would have raised as an issue, which Peric has now come out and said
we have a council
and agreed with me.
What?
Where
Yes.
have they?
Where?
Look at the
I'd like to see it in writing.
Peric letter of January of 2017. They finally came out and said they support that if you're a purchasing plan, you have to have an investment policy and you have to do the things that
Where
I
does it say
suggested.
we breached our fiduciary duties?
Because we weren't doing it.
Wait a minute. Where does it say that we breached
That
our fiduciary
Andover
duties?
breached the fiduciary duty.
Wait a minute, Tom. That's like, again, that's like a stretch. It does not say that. You take it and bring it to the next level, and that's just really inappropriate. That's way inappropriate. Council, have we breached our fiduciary duties?
No, you have not.
So.
That's his opinion, and I don't agree with it.
Right, okay. Exactly the point. So if you disagree with somebody, we get rid of them. That's the solution?
It's not.
Tom, that argument you just made saying that we breached our fiduciary duties is irresponsible as a board member. And it's a lie. It's a lie about what Peric suggested. I would suggest to you, you call Mr. Connaughton when we get done here and ask him to send me a letter saying that we
Read the
breached our
paragraph.
fiduciary.
Well, he's not going to say that, but.
Well, you just
So you
said
just
it.
lied.
Okay, just let me finish saying what I'm going to say. Peric has come out in a recent memo saying that as the type of plan that we're in, we need to have investment policies and we need to be doing certain things to monitor our investments. We weren't doing that prior to my raising this as an issue, which is not in compliance with the Prudent Investor Act, which is what the state statutes require and what our even new investment policy
Tom, that
requires.
isn't what you just said a minute ago. What you said was that we were in breach of our fiduciary
That's right.
duties, according to Peric. Not even according to you, according to Peric. I'm suggesting to you, I'm challenging you to contact Mr. Connaughton or somebody from Peric and ask them to produce us a letter or any information or come to a board meeting and tell us that we're in breach of our fiduciary duties.
We're going around in circles.
No, we're not
If Eric
going
is now
around in
saying that you
circles.
need to do this.
Perrick is saying, Perrick makes recommendations from time to time, and I'm not gonna debate those recommendations right now, but Perrick makes recommendations from time to time that we adhere to as they're made. If this is the policy going forward, well, quite frankly, we're meeting that policy.
We
You
are.
asked where Tony made a recommendation to address these sorts of things. I give you one and you dismiss it.
Because you didn't agree with it initially when I made the recommendation. And only after we had that meeting 2 years ago that the wheels started moving towards hiring an investment. All four of you who were on the board disagreed with me at the time that we needed to do this.
And, oh, that's a good point. The fourth member was also the town accountant. So, what does that mean? Did I hire the town accountant?
But now you agree with me.
But now I agree with you?
But you agree with me to hire the investment consultant, to
agreed
have
with
an
you.
investment policy.
To have it looked at. We agreed to have it looked at, Tom.
Right. And we
That's
went
what we
through,
did.
you know, Tom, we went through a whole due diligence
And it doesn't happen
process.
quickly in government. Unfortunately, it is slowly when you meet once a month. And we have taken various recommendations you've said, taken them into account, but we do hire professionals. You are forgetting that Tony has given a service to the community for 9 years at zero pay. Okay, so this is his own time he's contributing. He's complied with all of the training recommendations by Perrick. The reason to remove a member, in my opinion, is if they're not complying with the things. Now, I didn't recommend that you shouldn't be reappointed because you don't agree with me. I didn't recommend any of that stuff. But this is what you're doing. It's supposed to be a democracy. We're a 5-member board, but right now, you're stacking the cards and you're proud of doing it. I can tell you're proud of doing it because you got this girl in your corner now. And you know what will happen. I'm very disappointed.
I don't.
You're voting this way because he didn't vote your way.
I take exception to that
I
last
take
comment.
exception to that too.
To that last comment.
You shouldn't.
But I will say this. For you to suggest that you've watched board meetings and haven't said anything is a little disingenuous. I think you have to realize that we
And
have
face these
we
people.
have a decent board and board situation here. If we listened to every one of Tom's recommendations, quite frankly, we would have been out of the market when the market was at 15,000.
And I'm
you know,
not stacked in Tom's corner.
Yeah.
If you
You
remember,
are most certainly
if you
stacked
remember
in
the
Tom's
meeting last
corner.
week,
Yeah,
I did
stop
not
that.
agree with Tom. We voted opposite ways. Tom yelled at me at the meeting. I'm not sure if you remember that. Oh, you weren't there. But if you watch the video,
Yeah.
Tom, I said I disagreed
And
with
I
him.
apologize to you for that.
I'm not always gonna agree with Tom. I'm not
Right.
stacked in his corner.
Right.
So I take offense to that. That's not,
But-
I'm independent.
But
from
relative,
Tom.
if you're independent from Tom, to suggest to come to a meeting after a couple meetings and suggest that
Why
a
you-
longtime member should be removed for
Why are you
basically
berating
no
her? Let her
reason
make her own decision.
is difficult. I think the only person that's ever berated anybody is you, buddy.
You're
in all
kind of
honesty-
berating me right now.
Yes, you are.
Well, then I apologize if you're taking it that way. I don't want you to take it that way. But it is what it is. This is it's kind of insulting to somebody who served and given their time on the board. And what is really troubling, if there was an issue with this, why you didn't bring it up before? Both of you. Why you just didn't bring it up before? If
Did
there
you
was an
speak
issue,
to Tony at all about your feelings?
if there was an issue, it would have been the right thing to do as a board member to say, hey, listen, we have this appointment coming up. We should handle this a different way. And this is nothing more than a power grab. And now I am accusing you of that, so you can say I'm berating you on that. That's really bad. I know you're a new board member. You're not a new board member, but both of you did just that. You're board members, and if there was a question, I never got a phone call. I never got a phone call that said, listen, we should do this a different way. I disagree with the way you're handling it, Mr. Chairman. And I never said to you, hey, I'm not going to listen to what you're saying. If there was a question about the membership on this, then that should have been raised at the last board meeting or the board meeting before that. As a matter of fact, you even suggested, were wondering whether we were gonna do it, and I said to you, Tom, we spoke to council, and he said that we could wait until such and such a date. And you never said a word. So don't tell me it wasn't a setup. Don't tell me it wasn't a setup. That's terrible. Let's take the vote. We have our motion. And I'm disappointed in the way you handled it. You're a big girl. You've been around for a long time. You know the process. If you have something to say it. All those in favor of the motion to reappoint Tony, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
It's a 2-2 vote, so it fails by virtue of the vote. Tony remains on the board until replaced, according to our attorney. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right.
And, I'd just like to say that, I have been on this board for 9 years. Every month, I've rarely missed a meeting. As Jim indicated, I am an attorney by training, 24 years in financial services with a governance expertise. So I think over the years, I've brought a lot to this board, and I'm very proud of serving and helping out the town of Andover and its retirees over the last 9 years. And very much enjoyed working with this committee. To be honest with you, I am disappointed. I understand politics quite well. I think I understand the situation that Tom and Haley are in at this point and the opportunity that they see with this reappointment coming up. But Tom, to accuse me of, not doing my due diligence and meeting my fiduciary responsibilities, I take that very seriously. And I know 150% that I have met those responsibilities over the years and have been a material contributor to this organization. A little disappointed that, I've been able to kind of be the middleman, the fifth person, when you bang heads with Jim or Elena. I've been able to work between both sides of this committee and make progress in that area and kind of right the ship when things were going crazy. That's...
Jim, it's, being a fifth member
it
is just
disappoints
not,
me.
it's just not trying to work out the personalities. It's also trying to
Tom,
make
Why don't let him
recommendations.
finish, Tom, and then I'll let you
Is it okay if I
speak.
speak? Is that okay?
I thought you stopped, you paused, and I thought it was time.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had to take a breath. Thank you. So, and Haley, I've been coming for 9 years. I have not seen you
I've been
much.
at some meetings.
Yeah, a couple of meetings here and there.
I've watched all of them online.
Right, so you've only, honestly, and let's go back to the COLA vote, and then what one of the retirees came up and said to you after that meeting. And I understand the pressure. This is your job, and you report to, others that may be providing you direction. And I know you can say all day long that, you're your own person and you're making a decision, but you've only been coming to these meetings for a couple of months, and it's kind of surprising based on that what would warrant you to vote the way you voted. So that's disappointing in it. And you can, just for the future, as kind of a guidance for you, because I know you're starting your career, you can say you can say that you're doing X, but if you're really doing Y, you're being disingenuous to yourself and to others. So, you should walk the walk. And if you say, you're independent, then, you should be independent and not be concerned about consequences beyond that. Having said that, I hold my head high with what I've done over the last 9 years. I've not taken any, over the last, I think, 5 years, I'll take vacation days to go to seminars, on my own time. Do not get compensated for this. There's reimbursement involved as well, and I don't take reimbursement either for mileage and all that. So I think my commitment is true, and to the town, and to its retirees, and I'm quite proud of what I've done. But again, having said what I said, I completely understand the politics that Tom Hartwell and Haley Green kind of are involved in with this opportunity, with the expiration of the 5th member term. So I get it, but you guys had an opportunity to be better than that, and both of you weren't. So.
All right, anything else?
Michael, where does it say in the statutes that he stays on?
The language in the,
Because I didn't see it.
well, it's in section 20, subsection 4, that talks about an individual on the board stays until a successor is qualified. So that's essentially where I'm drawing that from. So, and as you know, you have this 30-day window to appoint someone to the board, and if not, it falls back to the Board of Selectmen.
All right. So what would be our process now?
We inform PARAC, right?
Well, you have, today's the 27th, so I guess you have three more days if you were to
Call a special meeting.
call a special meeting, unless there's another motion to appoint somebody else today. After that, then I don't know that you have to take any action until the selectmen, I guess, take their action. I'm assuming they're aware of it, and will act accordingly. But until that time, Tony would stay on the board.
But the one thing we've experienced before, they could do it quickly, or they could take 2 years. 'Cause that's what they took last time. I predict they'd do it more quickly, but they have no, correct me if I'm wrong, they have no time limit.
There is no time limit. The statute simply says that if the 4 other members don't appoint, but you only need 3, only a majority of the other members do not appoint within the 30-day window, then the following appointment goes to the selectmen with no time constraints or
Okay, so
a timeline for it, which is why I believe that's why the statute says that the individual continues to serve until the successor is appointed, so that you don't go forward without a full complement of board members.
okay, so we have to take no further action
There's no
at this
further
point, unless we
action.
decide to call for a special meeting, or if there's another motion.
Correct.
All right, I'd just like to take an opportunity to thank you, Tony, for being on the board. I'm sorry it came down to these particular circumstances. I don't think that any member deserved the way that happened with somebody who's committed to the particular place. But we all know these are positions that are either appointed or politically elected, and none of us have a lock on it. I appreciate, on behalf of the town, as a long-time townsperson, that the time you've given us. I think that you have brought a great deal to the board, and you brought a great deal of credibility based on your gravitas, based on the experience and the time that you gave us. I'd like to thank you for that. I'm sorry it ended under these particular circumstances.
Thank you. Again, politics is politics. I completely get it. I live in that world and understand it. But, X out this discussion this morning. Very much enjoyed working for the retirement board over the last 9 years. It's been great. And I'm going to miss it. So, and I wish you the best of luck. You got to, got a lot ahead of you, and a lot to work on. I thought we made great progress, but you know, there's a lot going forward. And my only hope is that whoever the selectmen and the town manager work on bringing in, you know, they obviously may very well be in their corner as far as, you know, how they vote and how they look at things. But I'm just hoping that they get an individual in here that has their head on straight and balanced, and you know, can work with others throughout the process, because you know, we can all agree to disagree on things, but there's really a way to deal with each other that a lot of times I haven't seen here on this committee. It doesn't have to be that way. It just does not have to be that way. So I hope they pick the right individual with that right disposition. So, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Shall I go?
No, you stay until you're replaced. So you even get the vote. Not that there's anything to vote on, but.